Give me a minute and let me give you an update from Kyiv. First, I want to thank all the peeps out there, and Dutch Cossack in particular, who made it possible for me in the midst of blackouts to be able to keep working. I've got internet access, I've got a light here, I've got everything I need to keep bringing you the stories of the day. So thank you guys. We are in a blackout. We can expect more of these because, of course, in last night's missile and drone attack, which may have been the largest of the war, we're waiting on final numbers, but it appears, according to Zelensky in his address to the nation this morning, he said that over 100 missiles and over 100 drones were launched at the territory of Ukraine last night. 200 aerial objects. That's huge. And it may be the biggest that we've seen yet. My guess is that we'll see another one like it tonight. The Russians, it's not a double tap per se, but when they do these big dramatic moves, they tend to follow up with another one the next day as if to say, we're not out of missiles. And then they don't do it for another month because they're out of fucking missiles. And this is all that he can do, is try to punish the people of Ukraine. The targets last night were all civilian energy infrastructure. Now, I got to tell you, hitting civilian energy infrastructure is a war crime. And the Ukrainians have shown great restraint not hitting Russian civilian energy infrastructure. Great restraint. Because let me tell you, this bullshit gets old fast. Yes, it does. I woke up, we had power, about 11:30, we lost it. We had power until about, power came back on about 2, had it for about 2 hours, and then it's off again. And that's a tough way to live, boy. It's a tough way to live. And that is the point, right? Deny the people of Ukraine the basic necessities of life. Make them throw their milk out every day and get fresh milk from the store because you can't keep it cold 24 hours without electricity. Grind the people down without access to water. Grind the people down without the normal conveniences of a modern society. It makes life hard, boy. And my buddy Bobby and I have talked about this a bunch of times over the last year. He thinks that the Ukrainians should be hitting civilian infrastructure in Russia and blacken Russia out. Now, today, his voice was joined by a person who I have a lot of respect for, Andrew Perpetua, who called for an all-out attack on the Russian power grid and to plunge Russia into darkness. Now, again, hitting civilian infrastructure is a war crime. And just because the Russians stoop so low doesn't mean that the Ukrainians can or should or will. However, there is likely a compromise. Every one of these big military bases has a transformer substation that provides it with electricity. Those are legitimate military targets. It sure would be nice if they could be targeted with ATACMS. That would be nice, or Storm Shadows, or JSAMs. But the politicians in the West have got to take the gloves off. This is bullshit of the first order. The Russians are able to commit any war crime that they want, and NATO protects 80% of the targets and bases inside of Russia by preventing the Ukrainians from using the very weapons they gave them. It's insanity. And it's got to stop. If you're an American, out at our Google Doc share, we have letters to Congress, the Senate, and the White House on this very topic. And we got to move the dial on this. We got to have the conversation, and we got to move the dial on this. Because Ukraine isn't just fighting for democracy and freedom for itself. It's fighting against the chief risk to those things in the world on the behalf of all of us. And it's Ukrainian blood and lives. that are being lost every day. Remember, war is not just mentioned in days and weeks and months and years. It's measured in lives and the blood of the people spilled. And right now, those are the Ukrainians. So the very least we could do is stop letting civilians in the U.S. play armchair general and put these restrictions and red lines on the Ukrainians who are doing all the heavy lifting in this thing. That's my 2 cents. As I sit here in the dark, recording this again.